Hi, I'm Sharon Money Twombly. I'm the physical therapist here at the Pennsylvania School for the Deaf. And today we're going to talk about core strength. Most of us know when we talk about core strength, we're talking about our abdominal muscles. We think about getting a six-pack, and we are talking about that, but we're talking about the muscles that basically stabilize our entire torso. And these muscles are responsible for holding our neck up, for holding our center up, our back. We need our front muscles to balance out the back muscles. And we're talking about the muscles in our hips. So they're very, very important muscles for us. You can think about your core like a tree. The trunk of a tree is very, very strong, very centered, and the branches are held up by the strength of the trunk itself. And if you lack core strength, one of the examples that I like to think about is if you were standing on a ladder that's not steady, and as you're balancing there, you're trying to paint a room. It would be very, very hard to stay balanced and do something else at the same time. And that's what it feels like if you don't have good core strength. So for our children here at school and basically everywhere, if they don't have core strength, what are we going to see? How would we know that they don't have core strength? A lot of children with lower core strength, they on a playground, if they sit on a slide at the top of the slide, when they go to slide down, they recline all the way back. They don't stay seated for the slide. They have difficulty climbing. They might avoid ladders. They might not be able to hold on to the pole and slide all the way down. All of those activities are harder for them because they lack that center strength. These children also get tired more quickly. If you're working to hold your body up and then you're doing other tasks, it's just a lot more energy expenditure and they just seem to always be tired. Sometimes they also struggle to get up from the floor. Instead of standing, putting one knee in front and standing all the way up, they tend to come to their hands and feet and then stand all the way up. And that, again, is a reflection of that decreased core strength, the ability to stay upright as they're moving from the floor to standing. In the classroom, these children sometimes look pretty squirmy in their seats. They're sitting, they're trying to pay attention, but they're squirming in their seats. And the reason for that is that they're still seeking that core. They're trying to find that balance. And while they're trying to find that balance, they're trying to pay attention. And that's hard to combine. And so they're constantly moving in their seats. Sometimes when we see them writing, if they're doing a writing task and they're sitting at their desk, they might hold their head and write, and that is that inability to maintain that erect posture and do something with fine motor coordination. So they're holding their head to support their body. Sometimes too, when they sit in a chair, you'll see them wrap their legs around the chair, and that's a way to lock in their hips and their pelvis to try to stay upright. Children with decreased core strength have a harder time writing. Again, trying to balance your core, hold yourself upright, and then write. Writing involves a lot of tinier muscles, and if you don't have the strength in your big muscles, it's a lot harder to find that coordination and control in your stronger muscles. These children also, if they're standing in line, if they're sitting on the floor, they tend to be the ones looking for support. So if you have children in a line, you'll see one leaning against the wall. And they're leaning against the wall for a rest. Again, it's just they need to develop more core strength. Some children also will do something called a W sit, so that when they sit on the floor, their legs actually sit in a W. And the reason they sit that way is it creates a very wide base of support, and if you sit with your feet in a W, it's almost impossible for someone to knock you over. So if you're trying to pay attention and you're trying to learn and you stay in that W seat position, you have a better chance of staying upright. It's easier for them. The problem with sitting in a W-sit position is there's some research that shows that it may interfere with hip development, but it also doesn't give a child the ability to practice their core strength. If they're stuck in that W position, they're not in a more typical position with their legs crossed or legs forward, and they can't practice those balance reactions which help build strength. And lastly, in our children, sometimes it looks like they have some issues with behavior. So if you think about a child in the classroom who's squirmy, who's slouching down, who's not paying attention, who's laying over their desk writing, we might think it's a behavior issue, but we really need to step back and take a look and make sure that it's not something that's more related to core. So the way that we're going to help these children is to work on activities that help develop their core strength. And the key to that is making it fun. Let's work through some activities. I'll show you some. Okay, so let's talk about some activities that can help our children develop a stronger core. When babies are first born and you go to your child's doctor, they probably talk to you about tummy time. And tummy time basically means putting your child on the floor. When babies are born, they're curled up for so long, 9 months, all curled up in one position. And a result of that curled in positioning is that their muscles are very tight throughout their shoulders, their belly, their legs. If you lay them on their back and you pull one leg, it basically snaps right back in. So their muscles are very, very tight. And because those front muscles are so tight, it means the muscles in the back that lift their head and help lift their spine are stretched out and weak. So tummy time works because it stretches the front of our torso and it helps to extend the back. So when we talk about tummy time, we're talking about having your child literally be on their stomach and playing with them right here in this position. Stretching out the front, strengthening the back by lifting the head and lifting the spine. And you can stay right opposite your child. It's a great way to work on eye contact. It's a great way to just play with toys and help them explore their environment. As your baby gets a little bit stronger, you can maybe 4 months or so when they're starting to get some head control, you can sit with them on your knees. And you can put your hands on their torso and just work on little bounces, give them a little bit of weight shift side to side, and that's working on holding their head up and helping to strengthen their core, just side to side that way. As they get a little bigger and a little bit stronger, you can set them on the floor and you can just row back and forth. You can do circles, all kinds of fun play, just working on the core. When they start to crawl, crawling is great across the floor. Crawling is also great if you put obstacles, soft obstacles, things like big pillows in their way, and have them crawl up and down pillows, because they have to literally crawl up and over the pillow, and they work on stability as they go over the center and then crawl down. So it's shoulder strength, it's hip strength, all while maintaining their core. And one of my favorite activities as a physical therapist is having children that are crawling crawl up and down stairs. Because as you crawl up and down stairs, you're reaching for that next step and your hip is pushing off to help you rise. So you're pushing and pulling through your hips and shoulders and you're still maintaining your core. So that's a fantastic exercise. You can put a favorite toy up on the stair and have them climb up. You definitely want to stay with them for safety. We don't want anyone getting hurt. As children get to be a little older, preschool level, things become a lot easier to work with them. There's a lot more motor skills that they have. Riding a bike is wonderful. You have to stay upright, and then as you're balancing on the bike and steering, you're working on your core strength. Playgrounds. Playgrounds are wonderful because there's opportunities to walk up steps usually. There's opportunities to practice sitting and staying upright and sliding down a slide. Another great activity is climbing up a slide, holding your core and working your way up. Jumping on a trampoline. Many families have those mini trampolines and they have a safety bar. You definitely want to have them hold onto the bar and just practice some jumping. It stabilizes the core. It makes the big muscles in the legs stronger. So another great activity. Swimming is fantastic. Your child does not need to know how to do strokes to get stronger in swimming. If they're jumping in and out of the pool, that's wonderful strength for legs and arms. If they're treading water, they're working against the mass of the water. Even just general play in the water, great activity to get them stronger. Even running, if you go to a park, you practice running up hills, down hills, running over surfaces that are not as smooth. As your body hits those obstacles and the changes in surface, your core has to lock in so that you stay balanced. So simple games like going to a park if there's a hill, practice running up and down the hill. Great activity. We can also, there's therapy balls that you can find in many retail stores. So one of the things that's great to do if your child is doing a game or working on homework, you can have your child sit on the ball. Just like we would have balanced them on our knees when they were younger, they can sit on the ball, they can play their game, they can do some homework. But the beauty of the ball is constantly in motion. So by being constantly in motion, we are constantly strengthening the core by giving it little balance challenges. Great thing to do. And actually, it's great for adults too. The other thing is yoga. Yoga isn't just for adults. A lot of us know kids have yoga routines. You can go on YouTube, go on the internet, find a basic yoga routine and do it with your child. It's a great way to build stability and work on balance, and it's fun. There's some really great content out there. One of the other things we do, especially here in our preschool, is we do a lot of animal walks. So two of my favorites, and some of the favorites of the kids here, one is a crab walk. So that's literally putting your hands behind you, lifting your hips up off the floor, and we literally walk like crabs. So you're holding your core, and again, we're strengthening hips and shoulders. One of the other ones is a bear walk. This one's a little more challenging for some of our younger kids, but we want to maintain straight arms, straight legs, and we come all the way over, and we practice walking like a bear. So you're holding your core, you're strengthening your shoulders, you're strengthening your hips. Great activity. Another one is to do wheelbarrow walks with your child. So your child is going to be belly down to the floor with their arms up. And you're going to hold them right at their hips, and you're actually going to pick their legs up off the surface, and they are going to practice walking, 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 walking like a wheelbarrow. Like you pick up a wheelbarrow and you push it. The lever for me is here, and they're walking out. Now when you first start to do this exercise with your child, you're going to need to hold their hips because they're developing strength, and that might be pretty challenging. And then when that seems to be easy, drop your hands a little lower to their thighs and have them keep going. But it's a great activity. If you try it yourself, you'll feel the cool core work. Another thing that we do as a part of our warm-up for many of our physical education classes here, we do Supermans. Supermans are wonderful for strengthening the back, the extensors of the neck and the spine and the hips. So we're going to fly just like Superman. We're going to lay down on the floor, hands up, legs up, and we're going to fly like Superman. And that strengthens all of the muscles along the back side of our body. So to balance that out, because we want to strengthen the back of the body and the front of the body, we do roll-ups. We tell the kids to curl up like little bugs, tug their knees in, and then we're going to roll back and forth and back and forth. So just another simple game to play. So we talked about how children with core strength issues sometimes have a hard time getting up from the floor. So sometimes when they do that, they come to that bear position and they stand from there. But we actually want them to come to their knees, and we want them to put one foot in front. So you can play games with your child. You can have a big ball that you push back and forth, and you can either practice with them in half kneeling, do one side, do the other side, and if they're struggling with that, keep them in kneeling. But that builds all that core strength right here. So those are just some activities to try at home. I promise you, no matter who you are, you can work on your core with any of these ways. Even though they seem like they're children's games, if you do them with your child, you're going to feel a stronger core. The other thing to try to do with your children is get them outside more. Go to parks, go for walks. It doesn't have to be anything fancy at all. And also just try to decrease screen time. I know especially in the last year with the pandemic, it's been hard. We haven't gone out. But getting outside is a wonderful thing to do. And if you're stuck inside, which many of us are and were, you can work on an obstacle course in the house. You can have something at the top of the steps. Go up and get something at the top of the steps, come down, jump over 3 pillows. Just get creative. And if you need ideas, there's a lot of content on the internet. So that's our talk for today. I hope that you learned something, and I hope you'll try those core exercises at home.